this is your first time on this channel, my name is Khani. I'm a narrative filmmaker. I write and direct narrative shorts. I've been trying to do other non-narrative stuff, like I'm gonna start getting into like documentary stuff as well, but my main thing is narratives. If you want to see any of the work I've ever done, link's going to be in the description. This year, we're going to be submitting a lot of films to festivals and stuff, so you'll be able to see more of my work, hopefully, in the upcoming future. I recently purchased the Blackmagic 6K, and they recently announced the 6K Pro, so I wanted to make a little bit of an update talking about my thoughts as someone who just purchased the 6K Pro, and if I had any thought of perhaps selling, upgrading into the 6K Pro, and if you're in a similar boat, what I think you should do, or what I think, or how I'm thinking that perhaps will help you clear up some of your thoughts, or if you're thinking of buying a Blackmagic, which one you should be looking at. Okay, TLDR, no, I don't think I'm going to be buying the 6K Pro. I did have the thought for a moment, but I don't think the 6K Pro has any features that I can't achieve with the 6K. I know it might be inconvenient, like screwing on ND filters is inconvenient, but you can still achieve it. And I don't think I've been in enough inconvenient situations to warrant the desire to avoid inconvenience. And what I mean by that is, I don't think I'm experienced enough, or I have enough clients that I'm just like, yeah, I need this because when I go on this, and this set, having that internal ND is going to save my life. Or having that internal ND is going to save me the time that'll let me get another 3-4 shots that can save my shoot, for instance. I'm not in that situation. The prefix of that is my situation is I want the camera to be able to shoot narrative stuff. I want to be able to occasionally shoot whatever docu stuff that I want, whether that's like someone's story or whatever it is. I want to be able to do YouTube stuff. Like this, and then I want to be able to have a camera that I can just plug in, use to stream the weekly streams or whatever that I do. And I think that right now this camera does all of that. That's my thing, right? And I think the more I get into the narrative and docu stuff, maybe I'm going to be like, all right, well, having an ND filter is too much, or like there's too much inconvenience here or there. I think that honestly, if it had like stuff like autofocus and a full flip LCD screen, those are two aspects that I'd be like, oh, I think that would make my YouTube shooting much easier, or like my streaming shooting much easier. Then I would start to be like, because I do so much, like if I was just a narrative, I wouldn't care. Like, to be honest, like if I'm shooting like a bigger production, I'm not shooting it with the Blackmagic anyways. At least I'm not, right? At least for now. I'd like rent like a camera, or I'd bring on a DP that would have like that would generally have like a red or like an RE or whatever it is. So I don't think I'm in the position where I'm like, damn, I need to sell this camera right away and buy the 6K Pro because it's that much better. And I think that like once you get enough experience in shooting and you have like constant work, I think you already know what you need. And so this video won't be as much help to you because you already know. You're like, all right, I know I need internal NDs, and I know I need this and this. And I know I need the battery life or blah, 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 blah to warrant whatever decision you're going to make. And I don't think that my thoughts are going to help you regardless. I think my thoughts are going to help the people that are like, that have not owned a Blackmagic, or are thinking about buying a first camera, or are stuck between the 6K and the 6K Pro, or the 6K and the 4K, are and so on. I think that this is more for that. And I think that honestly, as someone that purchased the camera, I also think that whole idea also extends to the idea to live beyond technology. I think that I bought a camera that's great, and I acknowledge that there's better cameras out there. They might be even cheaper, but I want to stop living in the realm of like snooping for gear. I want to live beyond that. I got a camera that's great, and I want to shoot something that's great, right? And at some point, if I keep shooting stuff that's great, I might be like, okay, now how do I make my process cheaper and my process simpler? And then I might start looking for another camera or whatever it is. But I think that I got it, the camera that's great. It's like, imagine you're a painter and you just bought some brushes and they're good. They can do the job and they can do the job well. But now you just saw there's other brushes that just came out, right? It's not about like saving money or stuff like that. It's also about like the mentality, right? I'm not like saving like thousands of dollars by buying the 6K Pro over the 6K. I think that would be different, right? It's like, yeah, I can use that on my next project, but it's like, I have a camera that's great. I just now need to just shut up and start shooting. And I think that's an incredibly important aspect. I think too much of us live in like the what ifs of the future and not in the present. I think living in the present is really important. The more you can be present, the more you can stop like almost being insecure about like everything, right? It's like having internal NDs isn't going to make your films better. You need to shoot and make good films and then find more gear that can complement it. So all in all, if you don't have a camera at all and you're looking into buying a camera and you're looking at the Blackmagic 4K, 6K, and 6K Pro, I think all of them are actually incredible cameras. I think that the 6K Pro should be for someone that is shooting a lot more often, shooting a lot more projects often. And I think that, and also a lot more on professional sets. I think that the 6K Pro is a lot closer to what like cinema cameras are. And I think that it's going to be really helpful for like the DPs and stuff like that. However, if you don't have the money for the 6K Pro, it's okay. You can buy the 6K. But if you don't have the money for it and you don't have the 6K, honestly, it like, because likely it's going to be like one of your first cameras in like I think the Blackmagic cameras in general have established the branding of like, oh, I want to buy my first cinema camera. I'm going to buy a Blackmagic. And if you're there, I think buying the 4K over to 6K is going to be a much better thing. I think that the 4K is, you can buy the 4K and use the rest of the money for lighting and audio. I think those two aspects would be massive. I think that something that would have been nice is having the same sensor size. I think that would have been huge because you could just then also invest in a lot of lenses. But what I would recommend is if you're trying to get into like the professional environment, you're trying to shoot like narrative films and other like projects that you want to look really well and stuff, buy the Blackmagic 4K, invest in lighting, audio, and honestly, if you want to get like cinema lenses, just rent them. There's a lot of like cheap, good cine lenses like the Rokinon's set and stuff like that you can rent pretty cheaply. I know in Toronto you can like rent like a set for like $100 or something like that for like a three-day weekend, right? And all of a sudden for $100 now you have like 3 cinema lenses that you can use to shoot or whatever it is. I think that's probably your best bet. Before you guys do leave, I'll give you 2 pieces of advice. In general, for anyone that is looking at the 6K Pro or whatever it is, the best camera to get is always the one that inspires you to shoot. So if that's the Blackmagic 6K, or if that's the 6K Pro, or if that's the Fuji camera you have, or if that's the A7S III, then that's the best camera for you. It's the camera that the worst thing you can do is spend $10,000 on a camera and it just sits there and you just never want to pick it up to shoot. I always look at this camera and a lot of times I'll just like go for a walk just so I can just point the camera at places and just shoot it. And just so I can bring it back to edit, because I think the 6K looks gorgeous and I'm completely okay with that. The second piece of advice is, for me, gear shopping and looking into gear has been a road that has prevented me from creating, because it's a road where I am able to create excuses and be able to find a way out of shooting, because I'm like, oh, don't worry, I'm not getting there, or I'm not being able to create or make an impact or make this project and that project because I don't have this and this and this. And I think that that's a scary path for me. So I think that whatever you have to do to get out of that is what you have to do. If you have to keep the camera you have and be like, all right, I don't care, I'm just making it. When I get the money, I'll get the money, and I just need to stop making those excuses. And that's what it was for me. So that's why, like, I saw the 6K Pro. I'm like, oh, this looks great. But I'm like, I just bought the 6K. It's a great camera. It's not like the 6K Pro is cheaper than the 6K, in which case I'm like, okay, I'll sell the 6K so I can get the 6K Pro so I can save money as well. I think that's different, right? I think that if you have a camera that's good, move on. You don't need to worry about the next camera. Start shooting, start making money, and any money you then make, then you can put back into whatever gear you want. However, as most people will tell you, lighting, audio, and so many other aspects of filmmaking, honestly, like buying props, buying costumes, and finding people to pay to work on your narrative projects and whatever projects is gonna bring your production value up a lot more than buying a camera. And you'll find that actually a lot of narrative filmmakers don't even have cameras themselves because they just save money, and instead of buying a camera, they'll just put it all on their set, and they'll bring on a DP that either has a camera or they'll rent a camera from a rental house. But honestly, in general, like I just think that like Blackmagic has done a lot to establish the brand of like, this is the company. If you're trying to buy a first cinema camera, then this is the company to look at. And I'd agree with that. Like if you're trying to buy your first camera and you're trying to get into narrative filmmaking and this kind of realm of like higher production, whether it's commercials or narrative work, I think that the Blackmagic lineup, their pocket cinema camera lineup, is incredible. And I think that looking at the 4K is so cheap. You can buy a used 4K probably for under $1,000 right now. And I think that's just special, man. I think it's so special. My name is Kizzer. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys took something away from this video. If you guys did, please subscribe, press that bell notification. It'll notify you for any future videos I do post. I stream weekly on like video games, Warzone, Cyberpunk, other video games. So if you guys are into spending more time that way, you can follow me on Twitch. I'm on Instagram and Twitter as well. I'm kind of there all the time. I'm also on Clubhouse. I'll leave all those links and ads below, and you can follow me everywhere. And you can ask me questions, and we can talk a lot more there. Hope you guys are staying safe and being healthy, trying to create something and making something positive and having an impact. And if you guys are, leave something that you've made in the comments, and tell me a camera that has inspired you. All right, peace.